All right, so as you can see, I got Corey here, and this is the hair before the cut. I've just washed his hair, so as you're gonna see right here, I'm just gonna blow dry it. The thing about blow drying the hair, I mean, washing the hair is washing the hair. You have them leaning over the sink unless you have a salon sink, and you can lay them back in the sink. But pretty much, I'm just washing the hair. I am scrubbing the hair. I scrub it one time, scrub it real good, not hard, so I won't hurt them, but enough to get down into the scalp and clean everything out. And then the second time I wash it, I'm washing it to make sure that the soap, make sure that the shampoo is white. It's completely white. So the first time, if a person doesn't wash their hair regularly, the soap won't be white the first time. And like while you were rinsing it out, while you're scrubbing, you'll see that the soap will have a grayish, dingy-ish color to it. But the cleaner the hair is, the shampoo will become white. So wash the hair until it becomes white. Right here, as you can see, I'm just shampooing the hair. I'm just blow drying the hair, and I am combing it out so that the hair can be lifted up off of the scalp. It can dry more easy, and everything of that nature. So as you can see, that's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna just go ahead and time lapse all this so the video won't be super long. All right, so here I'm just brushing the client's hair in the direction that the client brushes it. If I was not to do this, I would not get a very even cut, and also the client will go home and brush their hair in the direction that they brush it, and the haircut will not look as clean because the client switched directions of the way they brushed. So I'm just brushing all the frizzies down and in the direction that the client brushes, so when I cut the hair, everything is in the good direction, that it's going to be an even cut, a clean cut, and when the client goes home, they'll brush it in the same direction and they'll get the same results instead of going home and getting a total different result haircut. Alrighty, so here we go. You got my Andis Envy Li cordless LIs. Then I got the Zero Andis magnetic guard. So what I'm gonna do, Corey likes his hair nice and low. But my client, I like to, if I do these videos, upload them somewhere. I don't want to be saying clients' names like that. But so the client likes his hair very low. He likes it cut against the grain, which is very beneficial for this client because this client has hair growing in different directions. So you can be cutting the hair in one direction, and in the middle of that stroke, you'll meet up with some hair that grows in a total different direction. You don't want that, because if you were not going against the grain, you would get a very uneven cut, and you would have to go lower on the hair to even out the cut. So what I'm doing is going against the grain, complete strokes. As you can see, I'm not going little small strokes. I'm trying to go all the way up with the stroke, and then I come back up with short strokes just to clean up. But for the most part, it's full strokes. So I'm gonna speed up so the video won't be forever. All right, so on here, I'm just combing the hairs back in place again, make sure they're laying down the way I want them to, the way that the client would brush or comb his hair. Brushing them, combing them all in the right direction so that when I give the line up, I can get it as fresh as possible. And when the client goes home and brushes their hair, that they still get that clean cut look that they walk out of the barbershop with. The worst thing you want to do is have a client go home and they are not satisfied once they brush their hair and they're like, man, what in the world? My lineup is not even that crispy, or whatever, clients complain about all kind of stuff. So I'm doing the same thing, just brushing and combing the hair in the same position that the client would brush and comb. All right, so here, I'm gonna start the lineup. First off, you wanna step back and look at the client's head. Look at the head, and you wanna be able to see the lineup before you even put the clipper to the client head. You wanna already be able to see that lineup. So this is a client that I'm used to, so it doesn't take me long to visualize the lineup. So what I'm doing here, I have my wall heroes. I'm gonna show you those in a second, I'm sure. Wall heroes. I like those because they give me the same cut every single time. The Andis, sometimes they have good days and they have bad days. I don't know why, but the wall heroes, they give me that same cut every time. So I really like them. So I'm just adjusting my camera. But what I'm gonna do is how I do my lineup. As you're gonna see, I'm gonna start on the side of the lineup first. I'm not gonna start from the top of the lineup. I'm gonna start on the side of the lineup and get my lines going down. So right here, I just seen the sideburns are a little longer than I desired them, or than the client desired them. So I just kind of cleaned up that a little. Wall heroes, there we go. So there we go, showing them. You want to keep a comb or a brush in your hand if possible. If you can do that, it takes a little time to get used to that. But basically, you'll see me lining and combing at the same time, because sometimes you can take the clippers and it'll push the hair back, and you'll be missing strands of hair that need to get cut, so that the lineup look as clean as possible. So as you can see, I'm just going along, playing with the hairline. You don't go deep into the hairline. Start out very, very light on the hairline. Begin to start at the edge and give a very natural lineup. You don't want to go too deep into the lineup. You want to. That's another good thing about having a client that comes consistently, and having a client that doesn't come so regularly. Like 2 weeks is good. 2 weeks is very good. If the client goes a month, that's even better, because now I can really look at this lineup and see, okay, this is your natural lineup. That's where the hair is growing in. I see the natural lineup, and I go from looking at the natural lineup to really trying to mimic that natural lineup, but get some sharp corners and some nice and clean curves from the natural lineup. You're never trying to create your own line unless you have one of those clients and you still are trying to create a natural line that looks more crisp than normal. But you never want to really create your own lineup unless you have a client who has a very off symmetrical hairline. So as you can see, I got the side going pretty straight. This is just the outline. You want to kind of just give a nice outline first. You don't want to go into it and make your first time touching the line. It won't be your last time touching it if you want a good, crispy, very, very clean lineup. So the first time you go over it will most of the time not be the last time you would touch that area. So just kind of get a feel for what you want. Step back if you have to. Look at the lineup. Say, okay, that's what I want. How am I going to accomplish that? You want to know how you're going to accomplish getting that look that you're looking for before you even grab your clippers and place them on the client's head. So as you can see, I'm just going to go down each side all the way. I do that sideline and the curve first. Sometimes you might even see me, or you will see me on this video. Sometimes I do this, and more often than less, I would do my sideline, do my curve line, and even go around the back behind the ear and do the back line before I begin my front line. You want to give your eyes time to kind of get adjusted to what you're looking at, because you can, as you cut hair, you kind of get into a place where you kind of tired of looking at the hairline. So now you're kind of just doing something, making straight lines, making trying to make it look good, but you've kind of gotten impatient with the haircut. So you want to try to stay patient. You want to kind of step back, readjust your eyes. If you are able or fortunate to have a mirror that you can have behind the client, and you can turn the client around and step back and look into the mirror, step behind the client, look into the mirror, look at the client through the mirror reflection. If you can do that, that would be great. It kind of gives your eyes a second to really look at it from the perspective of the client. When the client looks in the mirror, that's what you're looking at. The mirror can sometimes show you things that you've missed. So you want to be able to do that if possible. If not, take your time, don't rush. One thing that you don't want to worry about as a beginning barber, one thing I still don't worry about, and I still would consider myself a beginning barber, but I have a nice amount of experience. So, but it's something I still worry about to this day. Is basically not rushing. Take your time, get the best result that you can. If you have this line, you're like, man, I can't get this the way I want it. Go to a different part of the haircut. Step back, drink, get a sip of water, and come back to it. Like it's just like anything you do. You can get tired of it. You can get, kind of tired out by it. So take a step back, look at what you're doing, pay attention to what you're doing. So as you can see, I flip the ear back and I go and I create a nice natural line. Try to make it nice and rounded, rounded as possible. And I'm just going there and making the line. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my clipper. Make the clipper do the work. If you have to put too much pressure on your clippers are not adjusted to where they should be. Adjust your clippers better, whatever needs to be done. But if you have to put too much pressure, your clippers are not adjusted as they should be. And yeah, you'll learn too that some clients, it comes down to the skin and the hair. Also, some clients you have to use a different clipper on. You have to use a different clipper on. Some clients, the Andes clippers are the best clipper to use on that client. Some clients, you have to pull out your walls and use those. For some reason, they cut different. Maybe it's the blade, maybe it's the sharpness of the blade, maybe it's the mechanics of the actual clipper. It could be the motor in the clipper is not powerful enough. It's all kind of different aspects that go into the cutting of hair. So as you can see, I'm basically gonna go on this side and do the same thing I did on the other side. One side will be easier than the other. So take your time, figure out which side that is, and on the side that's not as easy, take your time and get a clean cut. So now that I showed you that side, I'm just gonna kind of speed through this side so you won't, the video won't be forever. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and start on the back. As you can see, the back of his hairline is a little weird, so I started the middle. Trying to stay with doing just enough, not trying to do too much. I don't want to go too deep into it. I don't want to completely take all of that hair off because the back, it gets thin in those two spots. I want to take what I have and work with that. It's better to have those thin spots than to be taking his hairline way up, cutting off all that excess hair for no reason, when I can just take what I have and make a line. Forgive Brother Daniel for jumping in the video. Have mercy on him. Yeah, forgive him. So yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing. I am creating a nice rounded off line. I don't like to do the box as much. Okay, so it mainly depends on the client's head. Corey's head, I like to do the rounded off. Even I mean, really, it does depend on the client's head, but not as much as I feel like the box, like the squared off box back, is pretty outdated. I feel like it's old school, you know, in the sense of like, a lot of people walk around here with a box fade, like people looking like, this dude got a box, like, got a box cut. And then forgive Marvin, forgive him too. He was being rebellious. I told him the barbershop is closed, and he didn't listen. He just came in there and just hung out until I told him again, like, bro, like, barbershop is closed. Like, you know, please, thank you. So yeah, so that's what's going on right now. I am creating that line, creating that nice, crisp, rounded off line. Gonna make it look really, really good, knocking off as little hair as possible, so I won't, like I said, be taking off all kind of excess hair for no reason. I wanna take off just enough to round it off and make it look nice and crisp, but not too much to where I just made a hairline, made it like what I wanted it to be instead of natural, instead of leaving it natural as possible. So I'm gonna speed up this video because you can pretty much see what's going on. All right, so here, what I did is it took me a minute to try to find a nice position to where the lighting was good for the video. The lighting was awesome for me, but the lighting wasn't so good for me doing the video. So I had to find a good position that made the lighting better. So as you can see, so the reason I do the sides, let me explain to you why I do the sides first and not the middle, as most people you will see watching videos of haircuts. Most people start in the middle. One thing I learned, that if I do my sides first, I can get those lined up to how I want, be it I use the eyebrow or the side of the eye, like the corner of the eye, depending on what you feel more comfortable with, or just judging off of the way the hairline grows itself. If it grows inward and it comes at an angle, then try to make it as natural as possible. You might have to adjust each side that way. So like one side may grow straight down and one side may grow at an angle towards the front a little bit. In that situation, you'd have to cut a little extra off of the one that grows in an angle to the front a little bit to get them both to look as symmetrical as possible, coming straight down. There's my boy in the camera, and you can see him. So yeah, so I basically adjusted the light again because I didn't feel like that was sufficient either for the video, but now looking at it, it was pretty good. But so yeah, basically you see me trying to get it I'm trying to go into the hair itself very little. I don't want to go into the hair much. I'm trying to stay on a natural line. If the hair grows in a weird way where it's a patch or something like that, or the hair's thinner, I'm not trying to go into that to make the line look super duper perfect and crisp, because at that point now I'm just taking off hair that shouldn't be taken off. I'm trying to take off just enough to make a nice little crisp line, and not anything more than that. So you might have to play into the hairline a little bit, but keep it as natural as you can. But like I said, the reason I go from the side into the other side before I do the middle is when I get my two sides, it's kind of like connecting the dots at that point. I'm looking at it from the front, I'm looking at it from the side, I'm following the natural line, and I'm basically connecting this corner to that corner so that it can be as straight as possible, as symmetrical as possible, and all of that. Learning, one thing I did while I was still very, very fresh to it, very, very new to it, I learned that you can use your comb as like a ruler to make it as symmetrical as possible. So you can use your comb as a ruler, take it from the top corner down to the eyebrow, measure the top corner down to the corner of the curve right there, measure that, and you try to get it as natural as possible. So see how I told you, you're gonna go back over those lines. So don't try to make the first line the most crisp line. Just draw an outline with your clipper. Draw an outline with your clipper. When you come back and you're finishing up the line, you're gonna go back over it. You're gonna crisp it up. You're gonna make it look very crispy on that second end where you already got a guideline. So you notice that you don't do much. You just kind of play with that guideline that you have, crisp it up, make it look more fresh. So that's pretty much what I'm doing here, and the cut is 90% finished. On another video, I will show you how I use the straight edge blade, the straight blade. I like the straight blade, but I didn't want to make this video super long. And this cut, every time I wash Corey's hair, I get a very clean cut. So I did not use the straight edge because the clipper was sufficient. What the straight edge blade would do would crisp up that line, and it would also knock down the hairs around that line to basically ensure that the line stays as fresh as possible for a longer period of time. So you know how you get a cut and then a week later you start seeing that your hair is growing back? It's because the hairs weren't cut down as low as they could be. When you put the straight edge on it, you can get almost a week and a half, if not, depending on how fast the client hair grows, 2 weeks out of that cut. So as you can see, I'm just now looking at it and adjusting to what has already been done, crisping it up and making it perfect as it can be. Alright, so this is the cut, people. This is the cut. I pray that this was helpful to you. This will bring you some tips or something for next time you do a cut. And I pray that it helps you and enhances your abilities. And get better every cut. Get better.